Well, you've both just broken the lap record in practice. It's the first time that you've ridden on this new track, the first time that the Superbike series has come here.
Yeah.
How do you find this track?
Well, I rode on the circuit last time where it was not the new circuit, but the old type, and I actually used to like it better with the larger. The rest of it's the same. It's just that one corner is the only difference. And yeah, we both broke the lap record, so I think it should be a good race, and hope everybody's watching.
Ron Haslam, you have to win, of course. You've had bad luck, really, in this competition so far.
Yeah, it's over 3 rounds. 2 at Donington Park, and the last one's here. I broke down in the first one. I won the second one with Wayne finishing second. Then this is the last round, so I think Wayne's got to break down for me to do all. So I'll just go out for a win and hopefully get the win.
Tremendous rivalry between you two.
Oh yeah, on the circuit, tremendous. Yeah, in the paddock, best mate. So it's as soon as the circuit comes onto the circuit, then there's no team order, no favouritism. Straight out there.
I've got to beat him at something. He's beaten me at the Grand Prix, so I've got to beat him at least in the World of Sport race. Now, he's ridden good all year, Ronnie, and I think it'll be a good race if all the spectators are watching, and it should be good, I think.
And there's absolutely no doubting who those supporters are rooting for in this afternoon's final round of the World of Sport Superbike Series. Rocket Ron Haslam is our number 1. Well, Haslam is determined, if he can, to win this race. And of course, Wayne Gardner, his teammate in the Rothmans on the Britain squad, is also equally determined to regain the title he lost to Haslam last year. This is the 6th World of Sport Superbike Challenge. There's some illustrious winners in the past: Dave Potter, Barry Sheen, Court Wellington, Wayne Gardner, and last year Ron Haslam. And we have a superstar lineup for this particular race. In pole position is Wayne Gardner. Next to him is Ron Haslam. Then the young Australian Paul Lewis on the Skull Bandit Suzuki bike number 44. Alongside him, number 9, that's the young Rothmans Honda Britain rider Roger Burnett. And next to him, the 4 times British champion Roger Marshall on a similar machine. And completing the front row of the grid, number 4, Mark Sowell. So 15 laps ahead of the field, normal World Championship point scoring at stake. That's 15 points for a win. The red lights are on. Any time now, they will change to green, and there's 1 or 2 people still lying on the grid. There really is a problem because we have people on the grid at the moment. The red lights are on. The grid is being cleared very, very quickly indeed. Gary Lingham just having a spot of problem there in the centre of your screen. Neil Robinson, the young Ulsterman, he's back on the 4th row of the grid, but I expect Smutty, as he's commonly known in the paddocks of the Grand Prix world, to be much higher up than that. But what a star-studded lineup, as I said before, on the front row of the grid. Wayne Gardner, one of the most exciting road racers in the world. Ron Haslam, the pride of Britain, Britain's best Grand Prix rider. Paul Lewis, another chance for the young Australian to make a name for himself. They're straightening at the least. Away they go. And it's number 11, Roger Marshall, with his chin on the tank, who dives in first, with Paul Lewis in 2nd place and Ron Haslam in 3rd spot. So Marshall the leader, the rest of the field, and it's number 11 Marshall, number 44 Lewis, and Ron Haslam just dives through as clean as you like. In 4th place is Wayne Gardner. So it's Marshall, Haslam, Paul Lewis in 3rd place. Wayne Gardner is in 4th position. Marshall, who is 3rd in the championship table on 18 points. And Haslam goes wide, but he closes the door on Paul Lewis. Haslam, number 5, in 2nd place. Lewis right on his tail. Well, Haslam traditionally makes an electric start. He made a good start this time, but not as good as Roger Marshall. Marshall, number 11, out in front. Ron Haslam, number 5. Paul Lewis, number 44. Then Wayne Gardner, number 7. Marshall, Haslam, Lewis, Gardner. Still nose to tail, this 4-man group. Roger Marshall, Haslam, Paul Lewis and Gardner. And at the end of the first lap, Gardner goes through on the inside. Oh, it almost takes the front wheel away from Paul Lewis.
Yes, there wasn't very much room there, but Wayne Gardner took just the inch he needed to get past the Australian, and now he's up into third place.
So, tremendous overtaking manoeuvre. Still Marshall out in front, Haslam in second place, Gardner third, then Paul Lewis. In fifth position at the moment is Chris Martin, the young man from Blackburn in Lancashire, and in sixth place, number 4, Mark Sal. So Lewis in fourth place behind this trio of Hondas. And Haslam now decided it's turn to go. He winds up the wick, and he's got a quicker bike, of course, than Marshall, and Haslam uses the pace of the Grand Prix Honda to full effect to go through to the lead. So it's number 5, Ron Haslam from Langley Mill in Nottinghamshire, out in front. Behind him, number 11, Roger Marshall, then number 7, Wayne Gardner, and fourth, number 44, Paul Lewis. Chase now into Lodge Corner, and the bikes twisting and shaking their heads, and these guys just ignoring it totally. End of the second lap, and Gardner through now. Gardner is through to second place. Oh no, we can't quite make it. Marshall just bravely held on. Gardner was looking for a way through.
But as you said, Chris, yes, Wayne Gardner, number 7, and number 5, the leader, Ron Haslam, do have both better motorcycles and better tyres than number 11, Roger Marshall, as Gardner takes second place.
So Gardner, not to be denied, finally uses the pace of his Grand Prix machine to go through. So it's the battle of the giants again. We've seen these pair together in so many races this year. They've had some superb dices. The honours fairly equally divided, I would say, over the season. Ron Haslam, of course, fourth place in the World Championship points table at the moment. Wayne Gardner in sixth place after some cruel misfortune in the French Grand Prix and the Swedish TT. Haslam has the measure of this race at the moment. Gardner behind him. And of course, Haslam led the opening round of this World of Sport Superbike Challenge back at Easter and Donington, only to have a problem with the rear tyre. Viewers may remember seeing that big chunk of rubber fly off the rear tyre, and Haslam just weaves his way across the track. Gardner, almost a pillion passenger, and Gardner comes out of the slipstream, and Gardner's gone through. So the end of the third lap, and it's Gardner who takes the lead from Haslam.
And Marshall certainly isn't finished yet, because he's right on Haslam's tail in third place.
Well, I don't think we can write off Paul Lewis either. So Gardner, number 7, the new race leader. Roger Marshall breathing down the neck of Ron Haslam. Paul Lewis still there in fourth place, and Steve Parrish, the man who won that superb Superstock race, has pulled out of the pit, pulled out of the race into the pit. Gardner, Haslam, Marshall, Lewis. And it's still young Chris Martin in fifth place. Behind him is Roger Burnett in sixth spot. Seventh position is Mark Sal. And in eighth place, number 14, Gary Lingham. Gardner. Gardner from Haslam. Roger Marshall, Paul Lewis beginning to drop back just a little bit on the Skull Bandit Suzuki.
And you can see the back end of Gardner's works Honda twitching and sliding there, because even with the days, this Dunlop radial tyres, Gardner has trouble getting the power down. He's a man who steers with the back wheel. That means he slides the bike through the corners, applying the power very, very early in the corner, and actually directing the front of the bike by sliding the back out.
Well, Gardner has been on superb form recently, and he's beginning to pull away from Ron Haslam, and Ron Haslam is undisputably one of the top 4 or 5 riders in the world at the moment. Gardner then the race leader, opening up a gap of more than a second at the moment from Haslam. Number 7, then number 5 Ron Haslam, then number 11 Roger Marshall. Ron Haslam, 29 years of age, a loyal Honda man. He's been with them since July 1977, both at British, international and world championship level. One of the most successful riders in the world, and he's chasing Wayne Gardner as hard as he can go.
And it's very interesting to watch here at Oulton Park. The track rises and falls so much that these guys have a real problem, as we watch Haslam, number 5, the second place man, have a real problem keeping the motorcycle on the road. And as they go up over Deersleep there, you can see the front wheel gets in the air. The guy pulls himself forward on the petrol track to try and keep the weight on the front.
1/3 distance. Wayne Gardner leads by 2.2 seconds. Oh, and almost off. My goodness gracious me. That really was a moment. If we didn't know that Wayne Gardner was trying to the maximum, there was proof of it. Wayne Gardner within an ace of losing it. Well, a real scary moment for Gardner, who's still out in front, more than 2 seconds in front. Ron Haslam, second at the moment. Roger Marshall, third. Paul Lewis, fourth. There's Gardner, the race leader. And a chance to see that moment again. Here's Wayne Gardner. You can see him coming wide off the apex of the bend, out onto the road. That rear tyre just slid away, and that really was a frightening moment. But no problems at the moment for Gardner. He came within an ace of throwing it away.
Yeah, that's the way Gardner rides, and it looks really, really frightening. And he was in a dangerous position there because, of course, he was running out of road, and he couldn't slide the bike any further. But as I say, that's his riding style, and you can see, there it goes again. He's really driving that Honda hard.
Well, if Ron Haslam can see those slides, we're only 6 laps gone in this 15-lap race. 3.34 seconds the lead. Gardner really has the pace, the pressure on, but whether he can keep up this pressure remains to be seen. And surely Haslam's mechanics, the pit board, will tell him to keep on the pressure. 9 laps to go, and certainly if Haslam can keep the pressure up, you can see that Ron is trying, chin on the tank, keeping his crash helmet, his whole body behind that perspex screen into the hairpin again. Roger Marshall still there in third place. Paul Lewis is still fourth. Fifth at the moment is Roger Manette, and that will give Roger Manette a lot of confidence for tomorrow's and Sunday's 500cc British Championship races here at Oulton Park. Marshall, number 11, in third place. He's already clinched the British title, but Manette needs some results over the next couple of days to make sure of second place in the British Series. There's Gardner. Well, we'll see whether he's got any more slides on. Closing up on a tail ender. Haslam underneath the bridge. Marshall goes through. Well, Roger Marshall continues to mature like good wine. There is Wayne Gardner. 2.95. So Haslam has pulled some almost half a second back, and Gardner looks over his shoulder.
And it's noticeable there that Gardner did not use anything like all the road as he had done before, giving himself a little bit of leeway, exiting the corner.
But of course, Gardner is no fool, and there is Gardner at the front. There we go, Gardner around the hairpin. A bit of a twitch again, Peter.
Yes, he certainly, as I say, drives this bike on the back wheel, and you can see the thing wheeling there as he tries to keep the front end on the ground, pulling himself up on the tank. He's already on the throttle there, driving hard all the way up the hill, and you'll see the back end skip out as he lifts the front wheel over the rise.
Drives over that rise on the rear wheel. Haslam in second place, and he looks a bit closer to me. We shall run the stopwatch next time. There is Gardner, the leader. Again, another wheelie. There is Haslam. There is Marshall. They're coming up just past the halfway stage, and that thing is twitching. But of course, even if Haslam can win this one, it's not going to salvage the title for him. Gardner needs only to keep going, and the gap has now stretched to 3.6 seconds. And Gardner looks over his left shoulder as he pulls a big wheelie, looks to see Haslam behind. Gardner from Wollongong in New South Wales. Been with the Honda Britain squad for 3 years now.
And as we watch Gardner now accelerating first gear on the Honda, he'll get up to about 150 miles an hour as the front wheel comes up at 150 miles an hour before he settles down, gets on the brakes hard now to brake for the right-hander.
8 laps gone then, when number 7, Wayne Gardner, the man in front. In second place is number 5, Ron Haslam. 4th, number 11, Roger Marshall. Sorry, 3rd, Roger Marshall. 4th is Paul Lewis. 5th, Roger Burnett. And in 6th place now, number 14, Gary Lingham, is beginning to continue his climb and a battle with Roger Burnett. Oh, and it's still twitching, and he's not using all the road, Peter. He's certainly got a problem with that rear tyre, but it just shows how hard he's going because Haslam is not getting back on terms with him. There's number 7, Gardner, and the gap now stretched to 4 seconds. 9 laps gone, 6 more laps to go in this 3rd and final round of the World of Sport Superbike Challenge. Gardner into the hairpin yet again. Taking it easy, looks over his shoulder. Haslam is there. Haslam can see him. There goes number 5. There goes number 11, Roger Marshall. And Gardner is about to close on that tail end group. We've got 4 tail enders to get through, and that will certainly give Haslam a chance to close up some distance. But Gardner looking very, very good indeed. Obviously got some tyre problems, but he's not letting that come between him and victory at the moment. There's Haslam, and he's trying hard using all the track. Roger Marshall going through in 3rd place. Here's Haslam. 3.5 seconds. Haslam has pulled back, but he had to ease off for that tail ender. John Davis getting in the way, and Gardner right in the middle of this slower traffic. Number 7 there. That's Gardner. Always a worrying moment for these guys. And Gardner now through that group. He's clear of that little mobile chicane. Ten laps gone, and we appear to have lost Roger Burnett on that lap. Number 9, Roger Burnett, who was in 6th place, has gone missing. Gardner on his 11th lap. Oh, and Haslam also carving his way. No waiting around, no being gentlemanly at all out there. Haslam not wasting a second. Gardner goes underneath the bridge. Where is Haslam? There he goes now. And Marshall also showing no mercy as he carves his way past some of the lap men. 11 laps completed then. Number 7, Wayne Gardner, the race leader. Number 5, Ron Haslam, is in 2nd spot. And number 11 is Roger Marshall. There is Haslam, and Roger Marshall is certainly not being dropped off by Haslam. And Haslam is trying very hard indeed. This is a great ride from Roger Marshall.
It is indeed, because the difference between the two bikes is that Ron Haslam in 2nd place is on the Works NS3 cylinder, and although Marshall's bike looks similar, it's actually about 10 or 15 horsepower down. That means it's about 5-10 miles an hour slower, and he doesn't have the same high-performance tyres either, because those are preserved only for the Works bikes of Haslam and Gardner.
And if Marshall can hang on to third place, and it looks as though he's going to do that, then Ron Haslam will be denied even second place in the championship table. Haslam at the moment with just 15 points, Marshall on 18, and perhaps we should explain, of course, that Rob McElnay, the number 1 Skull Bandit Suzuki rider, he's not here. He crashed at the Swedish TT, damaged the ligaments in his ankle, and that's the reason that Rob McElnay is missing from this particular lineup. Sad news indeed, but certainly not even Rob McElnay at his best would have been able to get near this man. Wayne Gardner riding so well, out in front. 3 laps to go now for the leaders.
And as he goes through there, scraping the deck, scraping the tarmac with a special knee pad on his leathers, he's really riding confidently, no problems at all. Haslam tucks down behind the screen to get out of the wind, try and drag that last mile an hour out of the Honda, then sits up, the wind slowing him through the very slow first gear hairpin.
No change in the first 5. Gardner, the race leader. Haslam is second. Marshall is third. Lewis is fourth. Gary Lingham is fifth. Mark Sal. And then behind Mark Sal is number 12. Number 12, Neil Robinson, Smutty Robinson from Northern Ireland. A fine ride in 7th place at the moment. And the good news for Gary Lingham with the departure of Roger Burnett is that it means that Lingham is likely to collect the £700 additional prize to the World of Sport Star of Tomorrow for the best under 25-year-old rider in the race. There is Gardner, and there is Haslam. It looks closer to the naked eye. And it is 2.39 seconds with 2 laps to go. 13 laps completed then for Gardner. Well, I don't think it's a surprise if Gardner is easing it off. It would be very, very foolish to throw away not just the lead, but the trophy. And Gardner all the time looking over his shoulder, and is exactly what's going on behind. But having said that, I'm sure the last thing he wants is for Ron Haslam to beat him. And Haslam is much, much closer. There is Gardner. Under 2.5 seconds the gap at the end of the 13th lap. And again, Gardner having to find his way past the slower traffic. Haslam and Marshall in pursuit. Gardner goes through on the inside of one man. Has to decide whether it's the inside or the outside of this guy. Decides to go to the left. Number 7, Gardner out in front. Coming round to complete his 14th lap, and Haslam can see him in front. He will really have to put in a super effort on the last lap. Under 2 seconds the gap, and I don't think even Ron Haslam can pull back 2 seconds here. Gardner, quick glance underneath his left armpit to see where Haslam is, and there is Haslam. So Gardner has less than 2 miles to go now. Into the hairpin for the final time.
Yes, and it's really been a great ride by Gardner. Never had any problems at all, apart from that one minor slide when he was really, really pressing on to try and get away from Haslam. And once he got away, he was able to ease up and conserve tyres and engine to give himself an easier ride. And
there is Gardner going over the brow of the hill, and Haslam in hot pursuit, but Haslam is not going to do it. So Gardner then can almost taste victory. Again, another glance underneath his arm. Haslam still trying so very hard to get on terms. So Wayne Gardner can almost coast over the hill now. Wayne Gardner's going to win this one, and it's going to be a big, big wheelie. Look at that. A big wheelie. The checkered flag for Wayne Gardner. Second, close second, Ron Haslam. But that victory and those 15 points will have clinched the title, regained the title for Australian Wayne Gardner. Ron Haslam finishes second, but Roger Marshall finishes third, and those points will give Roger Marshall the second place overall tremendous ride for Wayne Gardner, then second Ron Haslam, third Roger Marshall, fourth home Paul Lewis, waiting for Gary Lingham to go through. There goes number 14, Gary Lingham, a good ride on the Myers Motors Suzuki. He finishes in 5th place, and in 6th spot is number 12, Neil Robinson. So a tremendous ride from Wayne Gardner, and so there we are, Wayne Gardner the winner, and back to Jim Rosenthal in the studio.
Yes, Wayne Gardner, the winner today, and the winner of the World of Sport Superbike